And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what?
China.
All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit. Like God's property, it's hard to market. So we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. 'Cause when you got to drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping closed hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. Your lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the
Black people can't be anti-Semitic. We are Jew. You understand what I'm saying? We are Jew. So cool out until you do your facts. Until you really do the facts with the fake indoctrination that y'all pull into the schools and all that. You know what I'm saying? We're not following y'all rules.
The entire Bible is about black people. Not only was Jesus black, but every character in the Bible seems to be black too. Yeah, Zephaniah and Jeremiah and Jebediah, those all aren't white people names, okay? And Jesus wasn't some tan, partially melanated Middle Eastern person either. I'm talking straight up black dude, okay? Even in the book of Revelation, when you get the vision of Daniel, he's describing someone with feet like burnt brass and white woolly hair, and we've got the deep running water voice with the red eyes, and you guys, he's black. The Jewish people are black people, like Kanye was right.
Anyone ever heard of the word anti-Semitic? What's that mean? What does that mean? Against who? Against the who? Say it one more time. Against the who? If you're anti-Semitic, you're against Jews. Where'd that come from? You know, anti-Semitic, the word only goes back to the late 1800s. As it relates to being anti-Jewish. Now, okay, now, don't throw your rocks at me. But how is it that only white Jews get to be referred to as Semitic? But how is it that only white Jews get to be referred to as Semitic?
But how is it that only white Jews get to be referred to as Semitic?
We're going to take back our country, and we're going to make Israel great again, and we're going to make Israel great again,
And we're going to make Israel great again.
we're going to make America great again. We're going to make them both great again, greater than ever before. They don't pay rent. The city doesn't have the whole. It's a chain of events. It's so bad. One rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out, and it will end immediately. End immediately. You know, it'll end immediately. We are the party of common sense. I knew that once they had open borders, all of the countries. I didn't think about all over the world. I thought in South America, it's all over the world. Last week, a lot of people came in from the Congo, a big prison in the Congo in Africa. Welcome to the United States. They came in from the Congo. They came in from the Congo.
This world and the next world are asymmetrical. The next world is where the majority of a person's actions, which determine his identity, are compensated. For the righteous, they exist in the world to come and they're rewarded. And for those whose major complexion is black, are excluded from the world to come.
Saying this crash was somehow caused and the result of diversity hiring, and what evidence have you seen to support these claims?
It just could have been. We have a high standard. We've had a much higher standard than anybody else. And there are things where you have to go by brain power, you have to go by psychological quality, and psychological quality is a very important element of it. These are various very powerful tests that we put to use, and they were terminated by Biden. And Biden went by a standard that's the exact opposite. So we don't know, but we do know that you had two planes at the same level. You had a helicopter and a plane. That shouldn't have happened. And we'll see. We're going to look into that, and we're going to see. But certainly for an air traffic controller, we want the brightest, the smartest, the sharpest. We want somebody that's psychologically superior. And that's what we're going to have, yeah.
That's why I think this United story and the DEI story hits so hard, because we've all been in the back of a plane when the turbulence hits, or when you're flying through a storm and you're like, I'm so glad I saw the guy with the right stuff and the square jaw get into the cockpit before we took off, and I feel better now.
No, I mean, like, you want to go thought crime? Like, I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Well, that's the you wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have. You wouldn't have done that before.
That's not an immediate.
No, you wouldn't have done that before.
That's not who I am. That's not what I believe.
It is the reality the left has created.
Hitler was, and the Nazis, of course, expanded on Margaret Sanger's approach to eugenics, right? Eugenics was a movement that was born in the United States under hard doctrines of racism, with the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African American community in this country, right? To eliminate them.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
I want to say peace and blessings to everyone. Hope and pray all is well with you guys. Let me adjust my mic here a little bit. Bring it over. I want to say peace and blessings to you guys. Hope all is well. And if my mic sounds good, type 1. If I need to make some adjustments to the sound, type 2. All right. If my mic sounds good, type 1. If it needs adjustment, type 2. All right. All right. Great. I want to say shout outs to my buddy Jay Highstyle. Hope all is well with you. We got to get caught up. I know I've been busy on my end, doing a lot on my end, and I'll share with you guys a major project that I'm working on. Actually, a couple of major projects that I'm working on. So I really haven't had the time like I would normally put in to uploading videos on a regular basis. I'm trying to get back to it, but I will get picked back up very soon. So I am working on some major projects. Also, let me move this back a little bit. There we go. That's better. Also, want to give you guys a heads up. Tomorrow, I am premiering episode 1 of a series that I'm working on called Blotted Out. So I encourage you guys, watch it. Tell me what you guys think. If it's something that you guys think that I should continue. Trying to debate on whether or not I should do the full series, right? Because, I think that we need a series or a set of teachings that really walks you through who's who, what's what, from the DNA all the way to how to live this life, according to Scripture. But nevertheless, it's premiering tomorrow night. Tell me what you think, and we'll go from there. All right. But let's go to get into it. I know that this is unscheduled live. So I know most of you guys will catch this video in the replay. So like I said, I'll try to get back to my schedule of doing lives on Shabbat night, as well as Friday night and sometimes Thursday. So, but I decided to do this live. Normally I don't do lives on Wednesdays, but I decided to do this live here because we are in the Valentine's Day season, which is in a couple of days. So I just wanted to do a quick teaching on this. Some of you guys may be familiar with this, but I did want to do a quick teaching on this. Valentine's Day, the homosexual Christ. And I'm going to give you proper clarity to this, but this is what we're going to deal with tonight. This is the subject tonight. So let's go to get into it. Again, Valentine's Day, homosexual Christ. All right. We're going to start with the 81st book of Psalms, starting with verse 8. Again, the 81st book of Psalms, starting with verse 8. And it reads, "Hear, O my people, and I will testify unto thee, O Israel, if thou wilt hearken, Shema, unto my voice," unto me. And so hearken in ancient Hebrew, and as well as the Israeli language, it means to listen with intelligence. So I'll read it again. It says, "Hear, O my people, and I will testify unto thee, O Israel, if thou wilt hearken, Shema," in other words, listen with intelligence, discernment, "unto me. There shall no strange Zar or Zara, God, Allah," right? That's what it says, Allah, "be in thee, neither shalt thou worship Shathaka, any strange, Nakar, God, Allah." All right, let me read it one more time. I'm fumbling over my words tonight. Let me read it one more time. "Hear, O my people, and I will testify unto thee, O Israel, if thou wilt hearken, Shema, unto me, there shall no strange God," in other words, Allah, "be in thee, neither shalt thou worship any strange God." Verse 10, "I am Yahweh Elohim, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Open thy mouth wide, and I will fill it. But my people would not hearken to my voice." In other words, be obedient. Shema means obedient as well. "And Israel would none of me. So I gave them up unto their own heart's lust, and they walked in their own counsel." Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 1. It reads, and this is coming from the Tanakh, "Hear the word," we see it again, "hear the word which Yahweh has spoken unto you, O house of Israel. Thus said Yahweh, do not learn to go the way of the nations, and do not be dismayed by portents in the sky. Let the nations be dismayed by them. For the laws of the nations are delusions, for it is the work of a craftsman's hand. He cuts down a tree in the forest with an axe. He adorns it with silver and gold. He fastens it with nails and hammer, so that it does not totter." So let's go to Paul's stern warning, right? Because we can use Paul's words to completely knock down the celebration of Valentine's Day and many of these holidays that the church, Christianity, and Catholicism promotes. So 2 Timothy chapter 4, starting at verse 1, it reads, "I charge thee therefore before Yahweh and Adonai Yahweh Shai HaMashiach," in other words, Lord, transliterates to Lord Jesus Christ, "who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing and his kingdom. Preach the word, be instant in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long sufferings and doctrine." Verse 3, "For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers, having itching ears. And they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and shall be turned into fables. But watch thou in all things, endure afflictions, do the work of an evangelist, make full proof of thy ministry. So again, Paul says here, and shall be turned into fables. So what are fables? Here's the Greek definition of fables. This is what it says. Mythos, right? A tale, an example, fiction. We see myth and invention. So I'm going to prove to you that Valentine's Day will fall right up under what Apostle Paul is teaching again, as far as staying away from these fables, because Valentine's Day is a myth. It is a fable. It is a tale, but this is celebrated inside the church. The very place that will say, it doesn't matter in terms of when it comes to us, when we many are waking up to who we are, they'll tell us it doesn't matter. They'll tell us culture doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what color Christ is. That doesn't matter. Any of those things doesn't matter, but long as the color of his blood was red, right? But then at the same time, they celebrate these things. They celebrate these tales, these myths, these inventions. Okay, so a fable, mythos, is an invented story, a falsehood. So even as Paul wrote these warnings, some false teachings had already seeped into the assembly. Let me say that again. Even as Paul wrote these warnings, some false teachings had already seeped into the assembly. Not a single follower of the Messiah should ever celebrate Valentine's Day, especially the Negro. Let me say that again, especially the Negro. We should not be celebrating Valentine's Day. We should not be celebrating any of these so-called holidays, special days that the church celebrates. Now, this here is a video here, and I don't have the audio here. I didn't bring the audio in, but I want you to guys, as I talk over this, pay attention to the cards. These are cards that you see on your screen. These are Valentine's Day cards. Look at the image. Look at the images there. Not a single one of us should be honoring or celebrating this. Look at this here. These are actual Valentine's Day cards. Promoting stereotypes, blackface, the whole nine. And you'd be surprised who really benefited from this. But look at this. And we're celebrating this. And we are celebrating this. And matter of fact, let me adjust my screen here. Let me adjust my screen real quick. I want to make sure that my screen is on the full screen. Let me stretch it out here. All right, there we go. All right. There we go. Look at this. Look at the noose. I mean, not one of us should be celebrating this. Not one of us. All right. So here's some of the images here that you saw inside that short clip I played. Look at this. These are actual cards that was created, that generated a lot of money. Look at this here. I'm in a stew over you. Be my Valentine, because of course they viewed us as savages, cannibals, and that's what this is depicting here. Cannibalism. I'm in a stew over you. Be my Valentine. Here we see, be my Valentine till I'll be hanged if you is going to say no. With a noose over his neck, blackface, pink lips, beady eyes. These are the stereotypes, right? Look at this over here. It beats all how much I like Valentines. So I'll say this again, don't celebrate. None of us should be celebrating this. And, and I'll say this too, because YouTube has been doing a lot of crazy stuff this past week and a half to the channel. They got me in shadow ban, literally in shadow ban, and I can tell you some of the things that they tried to do, far as tried to give me strikes, all kinds of stuff, and not gonna get into it. But yeah, I'm literally shadow banned right now. So they've been unsubscribing subscribers, which they've been trying to suppress the videos, and this has been going on for about a week and a half, literally, right? But nevertheless, as you can see here, this is the stuff that they don't want us to know. And I'm not going to bite my tongue. I'm going to still teach and educate our people. So I encourage you guys, if you have channels, to share this on your page. But this is the stuff that we need to be talking about. We need to be talking about these items, these things right here. All right. So the origin of the fable Valentine's Day. What is the origins of it? Do you guys remember this note right here? Do you guys remember this right here? I like you. Do you like me? Do you guys remember this? I remember when I was, a kid, and, my note didn't turn out well when I was a freshman in high school. I remember, not going to mention her name, but I remember writing a note to her and said, hey, do you like me? I like you. And I put a pack of Starbursts attached to it from the school store. And I got embarrassed. You know what I mean? She embarrassed me in homeroom. She read the note out loud in front of everyone. It said, not no, but bleep no. And yes, she embarrassed me, right? And I remember when I went home, and my grandmother saw my face all bent up. I'm thinking I'm looking normal, and she said, hey, what's going on? And I'm like, Mom, you're not going to understand. And she's like, tell me what's going on? Why are you all bent up? Why are you out of shape? Your face looking the way it is. So I said all right, Mom. And I told her what happened. So my grandmother just looked at me. This is a true story. She looked at me and she froze. And she said, you know what? She said, go sit on the toilet. That was her solution to everything. She said, go sit on the toilet. And I'm like, Mom, I knew I shouldn't have told you this. I said, what good is sitting on the toilet going to do for me? She said, go sit on the toilet so you can think about how silly you sound. And these are the profound words she shared with me that stuck with me from that day forward. She said, for every bum, there's a bag lady. For every president, there's a first lady. Opportunities. She made it clear to me with that example that, opportunities, can come, but may not come back again. But when it comes to relationships and things like that, there's a time and place for that. But opportunities can come and go, and you may not get that same opportunity again. Focus on the opportunity. So in a nutshell, but it's all good, family. So that was a very good lesson that she shared with me that stood with me. But nevertheless, I'm going to show you guys the origins of this letter here, this little note here. And I know some of you guys are going to be surprised when you find out the origins of this note. All of this has an influence to Saint Valentine. Whether you know it or not, this I like you, do you like me, yes or no note is a Saint Valentine's tool here. It's under the influence of Saint Valentine's. Let's give some history. The original Valentine's Day in the Ides of February was Rome's Lupercalia, a festival of sexual license. Young men chose partners for erotic games by drawing billets, small papers with women names on them, Christians denounced these prototypical Valentines as heathens, lewd customs. Churchmen tried to substitute saints' names in short sermons on the billets, but people soon reverted to old love notes, right? That's right, the love note that you see there. February was sacred to Juno Februata, goddess of the fever, in other words, Phoebus, of love. The church replaced her with a mythical martyr, Saint Valentine. That's right, Saint Valentine is made up. It's make-believe. It's a fable, who was endowed with several contradictory biographies. One of them made him a handsome Roman youth, right? And we're going to deal with the history of the fable of Valentine's Day from the History Channel as well, and then we'll get back to the source that I'm reciting from. So this is the history of Valentine's Day from the History Channel.com, history.com. It says, although the truth behind the Valentine legend is murky, the stories all emphasize his appeal as a sympathetic, erotic, and most importantly, romantic figure. By the Middle Ages, perhaps thanks to this reputation, Valentine would become one of the most popular saints in England and France. So again, this is a legend. This is not even true. This is a made up figure, right? So what's interesting is how most of the holidays that the church, the Catholic Church, the Protestant Church, right? Have you noticed that these holidays that they created, especially like St. Patrick's Day, Valentine's Day, you notice that it has a Catholic saint associated with it. It's interesting how most of the holidays has an extreme story of a Catholic saint, right? Christmas has who? Saint Nicholas, right? Technically Nicholas V, right? So Christmas has Saint Nicholas. St. Patrick's Day has, of course, St. Patrick's. You see the leprechaun there. And of course, Valentine's, Saint Valentine, right? So let's deal with some additional history about the fable of Saint Valentine. All right, going back to the source here. So one of them made him a handsome Roman youth, executed at the very moment when his sweetheart received his billet of love. You know that little love note? Saint Valentine became a patron of lovers perforce because of the festival remained dedicated to lovers despite all official efforts to change it. Even in Christianized form, the Valentinian festival involved secret sex worship called a rite of spiritual marriage with angels in a nuptial chamber. That's right. Let me read that again so you guys can understand this. Even in its Christianized form, now this is Christianity, right? Catholicism, their form, right, of celebrating Valentine's Day. Notice this here. The Valentinian festival involved secret sex worship called a rite of spiritual marriage with angels in a nuptial chamber. Ordinary human beings engaged before witnesses in an act of sexual intercourse described as the marriage of Sophia and the Redeemer. A spoken formula said, in part, let the seed of light descend into the bridal chamber, receive the bridegroom, open thine arms to embrace him. Behold, grace has descended upon thee. And see, during the Middle Ages, Saint Valentine was much invoked in love charms and potions. Let me say that again. During the Middle Ages, Saint Valentine was much invoked in love charms and potions, since he was a sketchily Christianized version of such love gods as Eros, Cupid, Kama, Priapus, or Priapus, however you want to pronounce it, or Pan. Now, you know, some of these, especially when you look at here, this is, you know, these Greek words, but some of the Greek words, right, has gods and goddesses associated with it, right? Not going to get too deep with that. But again, look at this. These are the different versions of this so-called God or goddess of love. Well, here's we're dealing with gods in these different cultures. Eros, Cupid, Priapus, and Pan. We'll break each one of these down so you can understand why I call these Valentine's Day the celebration of the homosexual Messiah, which it is. So Saint Valentine's was much invoked in love charms and potions, right? So let's look at the word charm real quick. Charm, incantation, magic, charm, magic, spell, incantation, song. The verb, to recite or cast a magic spell. To enchant, in other words, to fill someone with desire, okay? So let's deal with the Hebrew version of charm. Let's see what the word says. You know, it is chabar, which means to join, specifically, right, to fascinate. It says by means of spells, right, to fascinate. We see here where it says here to tie magic charms. And I want to go back here so you guys can make sure you pay attention to this, make a note of this. When you deal with charms, look at what it says. To fill someone with desire. Recite. Let's go a little further back, right? Songs. That's key, right? Songs. And then we see here from the word what? Canary. Canary. To sing. Okay, so I wanted to make sure you guys understand that. Make a note of that. Okay, so again, chabar means to join, specifically to fascinate, but it means by means of spells, of course. So again, from the source that I quoted, it says he was a sketchily Christianized version of such love gods as Eros, Cupid, Priapus, or Pan rather, right? So you guys may not know this, right? You see the Cyclops or whatever on the side here. This is Pan. You know Peter Pan? This is the original image of Pan. Not what you see that Walt Disney introduced, right? This is actual Pan. And the Peter Pan that they introduced, you can't tell if it's a girl or a boy. Have you guys noticed that? You can't tell if Peter Pan is a girl or a boy. And I'm going to show you why. But look at this. This is the original image of Pan. Okay? The actual image of Pan. This is the sketchly image of Saint Valentine's, who derived from Pan. Right? And also it deals with bestiality. Excuse me, but just showing you guys here. In this disturbing image, we see the solicitation of satanic sexual ritual, such as bestiality, with the goat demon, right? And that's what Pan, when you look at Pan, it promotes bestiality. And that's what you see here. Let's see what we have here. Now, what you see here, and I'm going to pause it. I may still have the video here. Let me just go ahead and play the video here. This is a rabbi who is saying that the Talmud, the Mishnah, they teach that Adam created, went against the law, statutes, and commandments by, and they don't teach he went against it, but they teach that Adam had intercourse with animals. Unbelievable, right? Let me play a clip here, then we'll continue on.
Milamed, it teaches us that Adam not only named the animals, but he dated all the animals. But he was not able to be at peace with any of them until finally Chava was created.
Hashem didn't have a problem with that?
I mean, dated means, I'm trying to use a nice word.
What does dated means?
Dated means he took her out to Pisgah. They went out to the Chosin. They had a little, Monte.
Let's keep it rated PG.
We're going to keep it rated. We're going to keep it rated PG for the G for grandmas for this discussion. But that's what he did. It says he went out with the animals.
See, family, this is what happens when you take a heritage, an identity that was never yours, that was not yours, because this was our culture. This was our ancestors' culture, right? And this is the culture that was handed down. You don't see any of this written in the scriptures at all. So they created their own Torah, right? Which is called the Talmud, and some of their other rabbinical literature, the Mishnah, the Zohar. That's where you really get into the esoteric stuff, the Jewish mysticism. But he was reading from something, and let me show you what he was reading from. So the Jewish Talmud teaches that Adam committed bestiality. Let's prove it here. This is coming from Yevamot 63a. Look at what it says. This is what he's reading from, because he said, hey, it says it right here. So it wasn't like that rabbi that was teaching, wasn't like he made it up on the fly. He was reading from a source, and this is the source. Look at what it says. What is meant by the scriptural text? This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This teaches that Adam had intercourse with every beast and animal, but found no satisfaction until he cohabited with Eve. You have the source. Vet it. Take a look at it. So let's deal with Eros. Who is Eros? Let's break down Eros. Eros, bisexual Greek deity of erotic love. Let me say that again. Eros, bisexual. We dealt with Pan, right? Pan, Peter Pan, Pan. We dealt with Pan, and you saw what? Bestiality. You see, now we get to Eros. Eros, we see that he's bisexual. Bisexual Greek deity of erotic love, identical with Hindu Kama. Orphic said Eros was the first god to emerge from the womb of the primal creatress, Mother Night, of whom even Zeus stands in awe. Plato said Eros was the oldest of deities, and this is all dealing with Greek mythology, the most worthy of honor, the one who gave souls strength to ascend to heaven after death. In short, Eros was a kind of savior. This is why I say Valentine's Day is what? The celebration of what? A homosexual Messiah, a bisexual Messiah. And in short, Eros was a kind of savior before cult of asceticism began to replace the older worship of sexuality as a primary force, a life force, So again, key point, Eros was a bisexual Greek deity of erotic love and a bisexual savior. So erotic means to arouse sexually, just so that way you guys understand. Let's deal with Cupid. Let's deal with Cupid. Roman, right? So you had the Greeks, the Romans, they're still the same, Greek. We start dealing with the Greek mythology. It's still the same. The Romans and the Greeks still the same, different names, but it's still the same. But look at here, Cupid, Roman name for the god of erotic love. We see Greek Eros, we see Hindu, we see Kama. Cupid was the son of Venus and Mercury. In other words, Aphrodite and Hermes, and was therefore a hermaphrodite. So Cupid is referred to as what? A hermaphrodite. We saw Eros, bisexual. We saw Pan, bestiality, right? So bestiality, excuse me. And we see here says, and was therefore a hermaphrodite. In other words, Hermes, Aphrodite. So that's where you get the word hermaphrodite, signifying sexual union. In Christian usage, the ancient significance of sexual desire was confused with desire for money, hence the modern cupidity, which used to mean lust, but now means greed. In the same way, Latin caritas was altered from sensual or sexual giving to the modern charity, in other words, giving of money. Renaissance art made emanations of Cupid into amoretti, in other words, little loves, shown as winged babies, but ancient talismans of Cupid were not babies. They were winged phalli. In other words, y'all know what a phallus is, or where it says phalli. So it's saying instead of a baby that you see here with wings, it was a male reproductive organ. That's what this is saying here. They were winged phalli of bronze, ivory, or wood, which gave rise to an Italian slang term for the, and I took that out because I didn't, just want to try to keep this clean. Uccello, little bird. So the original image was not a baby with wings shooting an arrow. It was a phallus. It was a male reproductive organ with wings. Okay. So, but the ancient talisman of Cupid were not babies, as I pointed out. This was phallic worship. So Cupid's arrow represents the spell or charm of lovesick. We're going to break this arrow down here. We're just going to completely expose Valentine's Day. So we're going to break down the arrow, because that arrow represents lovesick, the charm of lovesick, or the spell of lovesick. Let's go to the Oxford Dictionary definition and see what lovesick means. Right? As my buddy Jay Highstyle said, he said in his voice, right, of the Minions, after watching some of this, he's saying it in this voice. What? I know many of you guys are probably saying the same thing. You're probably saying the same thing, just like Jay Highstyle pointed out. What? At the shock of what you're hearing. And this is promoted in the church. This is promoted in the church. The church is promoting phallic worship, going against scriptures. Now look at what lovesick means. In love or missing the person or love. Let me read it again. In love or missing the person one loves so much that one is unable to act normally. And it gives an example, a lovesick teenager. Now, I think all of us been here before. You was lovesick. You thinking that you're going to die, if you don't call or talk to the person on the phone. You guys remember those days. Remember back in the days, you on the phone till 2 a.m. and you hang up. No, you hang up. No, you hang up. No, you hang up. All right, talk to you later. All right, talk to you later. All right, bye. All right, bye. Okay. You gonna hang up? All right, we're gonna hang up together. Here you go. 1, 2, 3. You still there? You ain't hang up? No, you hang up first. Y'all know that crazy stuff we used to do. Now, my grandmother always jumped right in the middle of it. She'd be like, go to bed. She'll pick up the phone. I know you're still not on the phone, Kelly. Anyway, so that is a definition or a sample of lovesick. As we see here, in love or missing the person one loves so much that one is unable to act normally. And I think all of us, we were guilty of what? Not behaving normally when it came to people or, that person I first loved, so to speak. You know what I mean? When we were young teenagers. All right. But again, that's what lovesick is. But I'm going to give you an example of lovesick within the scriptures, because lovesick is in the scriptures. We're going to see how lovesick is from a biblical perspective, right? Let's see what lovesick is. And you guys probably going to see how this can relate to this false holiday. You can see how this relate to how many relationships take place. Let's see what lovesick is according to scripture. 2 Samuel chapter 13, starting at verse 1. Let's see what it says about lovesick. And it came to pass, and it makes me think about Gangstar. Some of you guys, I'm not sure, some of you guys, if you know hip hop, especially in the 90s, you understand Gangstar, the guru. He had a song called Lovesick. Anyway, verse 1. And it came to pass after this that Absalom, the son of David, had a fair sister whose name was Tamar. And Amnon, the son of David, loved her. Verse 2. And Amnon was so vexed. Peep this out, because it's dealing with lovesick, right? And Amnon was so vexed. He was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister Tamar. Is that not lovesick? This is not natural. Number one, it's his sister. And now he's behaving unusually. He can't function. But this is for his own sister. Look at what it says here. And Amnon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister Tamar. Now, we all been out there in the world. Like I said, your first love or being in high school, you feel like you can't function, right? And I'm sure you guys been there before, whereas though, have you looked back over and said, man, I can't believe I let her get to me like that, or I can't believe I let him get to me like that. I said I would never do this, and then you doing that very thing you said you wouldn't do. Have you guys had that experience before? I'm sure you have. That you could not believe that some of the things that you started thinking and the way you were behaving over a person. But this right here, he was lovesick over his own sister. I read it one more time. And Amnon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin, and Amnon thought it hard for him to do anything to her. All right. So Amnon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister. So Tamar was his half sister, but was the full sister of Absalom, who had been born to David's wife, Maacah, the daughter of Talmud, who was the king of Geshur. Okay. So let's deal with the Hebrew word vexed. Let's see what it means, because it said he was vexed. In other words, it says here to press, yatsar, to press. An example, be narrow, be in distress. So he was narrow-minded. He couldn't think any way outside of the unusual behavior of wanting to be with his own sister. So it says here again, to press. An example, be narrow, be in distress. In other words, he was narrow-minded. Look at this here. Be in distress, be cramped, be narrow, be scant, be in straits, make narrow, cause distress, besiege. He was besieged. He was in bondage to his flesh. All right. So let's look at the word sick in Hebrew. All right. Kalal, it says here, to be rubbed or worn, to be weak, afflicted, or to grieve, make sick, disease, be diseased, put to pain. Be weak, become weak, be wounded. And then when we look at entry 1, it says here to be or become weak, or to be, or it says be or become sick. But look at this here, be or become diseased. So he had his mind was so warped. It was a disease of the mind, disease of the flesh. And it says here, be or become sorry, you know? So Ammon became lovesick over his sister Tamar or Thamar. Amon became Yatsar. In other words, he was lovesick, narrow-minded, and besieged, which caused him to become diseased in an obsession for his sister. Let me read that again. Ammon became narrow-minded and besieged. In other words, he was in bondage to his flesh. He was in bondage to his desires. He was in bondage to that disease of his mind, which caused him to become diseased and in obsession for his own sister. So Ammon lusted so much after Tamar, that he became ill because he could not figure out a way to have her sexually. Why? Right? Why? Because Tamar was faithful to Yahweh, obeying his commandments, and living a pure, righteous life. And I want to say to the sisters, be careful, because you have a lot of predators in this awakening. I'm just going to call it like it is. You have a lot of predators that are in this awakening, that are lovesick, that is operating in the spirit of lovesick, and would do anything to seduce the women in this awakening, to the point some of the things that I have witnessed, some had to minister and counsel women that was the recipient of some of these behaviors that kind of put themselves in these situations. The guy saying, hey, we don't need to go down to the courts and get a legal certificate of marriage or nothing like that. Let's just write our own love note, right? You saw that note, that billet of love, saying we're going to stand before Yah and we're going to give ourselves in marriage and sleep with the person, get his way with her. And guess what? You're going to see the behavior here on how Ammon treated his sister. This is all through this awakening. This is in the church. You see ministers, you see elders, you see pastors abusing the women the same way in the church. It's not just in this awakening. But look at this here. Because Tamar was faithful to Yahweh, obeying his commandments, living a pure, righteous life. Come on, guys. Y'all been out there in that world. Y'all remember when you was younger in the high school and all that? That was like a thing. When a guy heard that someone or guys found out a female was a virgin, it was like she was a trophy. She was like a target. It's like all the guys are trying to get with her. Not because of really wanting to be with her or be friends or nothing like that, just so that way they can use her as a trophy. That's lovesick. So this is an example we see in the Bible here, in the scriptures, because Tamar was faithful to Yahweh, obeying his commandments, living a pure, righteous life. She was a virgin, and he was attracted to that. So Ammon's cravings for Tamar was despicable and reprehensible. Let me say that again. Ammon's cravings for Tamar was despicable and reprehensible. Let's deal with Ammon. Let's deal with the name Ammon, right? Right. So his name means faithful, right? Because the primitive root word to Ammon's name is Ammon. So, and we'll deal with Ammon to get the full understanding of this name. So it means faithful. Ammon or Amnon, faithful. Let's break this down, right? Let's go to the primitive root word Ammon. Ammon means to build up, firm, faithful, to trust, believe, to be permanent, to go to the right hand, right? So that's what it really means. But he wasn't faithful in the sense of going to the Father. He was faithful to his lustful flesh. The right hand that he went to wasn't to the Father, to Christ, because who sits at the right hand of the Father? Christ, right? And the high priest served as what? A type of Christ, at that time before Christ came, right? The high priest will intercede for the people. That's where you get into the Holy of Holies, right? This is where you get into the Day of Atonement. But we see here, Ammon, he wasn't doing or exhibiting these positive attributes towards the Most High. He was exhibiting these things to his flesh. In other words, to build up, firm or faithful, to trust, believe, to be permanent, All right. Consistency. He was consistent in what? His flesh. To go to the right hand. And we're going to show you the right hand he went to. All right. So who was Ammon's right hand? We're going to show it with the scripture. I'm telling you, there's so many nuggets in this lesson here. Who was Ammon's right hand? The evil schemes or charms suggested by a friend and cousin, Jonadab. So Jonadab was Ammon's right hand. He was also despicable and reprehensible. So let's continue with this. Let's continue. Let's go down to verse 11. Look at what it says in chapter 13, verse 11, dealing with 2 Samuel. And when she brought them unto him to eat, he took hold of her and said unto her, come lie with me, my sister. So here he's pretending to be sick physically, so that way she could bring him food and he can have it force himself on her. So this is what it says. And when she had brought them unto him to eat, he took hold of her and said unto her, come lie with me, my sister. And she answered him, nay, my brother, Akai or Akaya, right? It says here, do not force me. Look at this here. Do not force me, for no such thing ought to be done in Israel. Do not thou this folly. So she's pleading with him. She's pleading with him like, look, don't do this stupid thing. Don't force yourself. What she's saying, don't tell him not to force himself on her. Saying, look at this here. It says, for no such thing ought to be done in Israel. Do not thou this folly. So she's trying to plead with him, and she's saying no to him, that you're going to embarrass us. That's what she's saying. Look at here. And whither shall I cause my shame to go? She's making it clear, you're going to shame me. You're going to shame both of us. And as for thee, thou shalt be as one of the fools in Israel. So she's saying to him, he's going to shame her because now she can't go anywhere. She'll be tarnished because the word would be around that her own brother had his way with her, and he'll be looked at as a fool in Israel. Now, therefore, I pray thee, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold me from thee. Now, when you read the text, she's actually using this as a way of escape, because David is not going to give his own daughter to his own son, but she's using this as a way of trying to redirect that foolish passion, right? So she says here, and whither shall I cause my shame to go? And as for thee, thou shalt be as one of the fools in Israel. Now, therefore, I pray thee, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold me from thee. Howbeit he would not hearken unto her voice, but being stronger than she, forced her and lay with her. So he raped her. He raped his own sister, forced himself on his own sister. Now, look at this here. Look at this here. Come on now. I know, this is a foul situation. Look at his behavior afterwards. Then Ammon hated. So he forced himself on her. He was lovesick for her. Then once he had his way with her, then his so lovesick, demented mind shifted on her. Then Ammon hated Shana her exceedingly. So now he went totally to the opposite. He couldn't live his life without her. But once he slept with her, then all of a sudden he hated her. Come on now. Do we not see this behavior in our community? Come on, we got to call it what it is. We have so many women that have been taken advantage of. Once the guy get what he wants to get, and all of a sudden treat her like she wasn't nothing. Treat her like she was garbage. Treat her like she did something wrong, when actually he was the one that did something wrong. He started, in a nutshell, he tried to make her feel guilty for what he did wrong. He was trying to basically push that spirit of narcissism, right? That cognitive dissonance on her. That spirit of Stockholm syndrome. to try to get her to say, yeah, accept the responsibility, accept accountability. Then Ammon hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred wherewith he hated her was greater than the love wherewith he had loved her. Is that crazy or what? So he just flipped a 180 on her. And Ammon said unto her, arise, be gone. So before he forced himself on her, she was the best thing since sliced bread. Once he got what he wanted, get out of my house, get out of my bed. You forced me to do this. He started blaming her, treated her ugly, treated her bad, treated her wicked, because he knew he was wrong. He knew he was wrong, but he wanted to put the blame on her, make her feel guilty. So the incest committed by the crown prince Ammon was abominable. It was perversion. It was very perverted. It led him to rape his own sister. This is dealing with lovesick. Tamar immediately shouted out, no, do not. Several times, in struggling to resist his lustful advances, she made 4 appeals to him, as we highlighted. Number 1, she reminded him that rape is a crime and that such a thing should not be done in Israel. Number 2, she appealed to his conscience, emphasizing that rape was a wicked evil. Number 3, she begged him to think of their reputations. She would be disgraced and his reputation would be ruined, for people would look upon him as a wicked fool. She appealed for him to control his urges and to ask permission to marry her if he was burning with lust. But we know David wouldn't allow that, but that was a way trying to get out of the situation. But let's look at the word hate, shana, right? It says here, to hate, enemy, foe, hateful of persons, right? So he looked at her as an enemy. His own sister, he took advantage of her and he flipped on her to now she's his enemy. Once he had committed the reprehensible evil, his emotions immediately turned from attraction to hate. Straight hatred. Now, Ammon saw his sister as his enemy. And when we go to that definition of cupidity, let's see what cupidity means, right? Eager, desire to possess something, passionate desire, lust, ambition to desire. This is him. Cupidity, right? To boil over, desire for wealth, but the key is to boil over. So cupidity means passionate desire, lust. So Ammon allowed his lovesick, called cupidity, in other words, passionate desire and lust, lead him to stupidity. The Talmud promotes the spirit of bisexuality. So let me go back here just to make sure you guys understand. Ammon, again, I want to reiterate this point. Ammon allowed his lovesick, which is called cupidity, right? In other words, passionate desire and lust lead him to stupidity. Okay? So the Talmud promotes the spirit of bisexual Messiah. Let me say that again. The Talmud promotes the spirit of the bisexual Messiah because, again, started with Adam, right? Starting with Adam. Let's see what what the scriptures, not the scriptures, what the Talmud says about Adam. We'll deal with Aphrodite, but before we answer that question, let's see what the Talmud and Midrash, the Midrash, say about marriage first before we deal with the answer those first those previous questions. But look at this here. This is what it says about Adam and Eve. The rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he woman. Then it goes on to say here, no objections can be raised against the one who says it was a face, since so it is written behind and before thou hast formed me. Let's go to Reuven 18a. The first man had 2 faces. It's dealing with Adam saying that he had 2 faces. Some Shakti type stuff. But the key that I want to get to here, let me see if it's here. Let's get to a key point here. This is where I want to get to. Let's go to the Midrash. This is the point I want to get to. This is what it says about Adam. It says, when the Holy One, blessed be he, created Adam, he created him an hermaphrodite. In other words, bisexual. For it is said, male and female created he them and called their name Adam. So the Talmud in their Midrash promotes bisexuality. All right. So let's go back here again so you can make sure you understand. Said that he created Adam and hermaphrodite. So if Adam is created in the image of the Most High, that means that they're teaching that Yahweh is bisexual, right? Male and female, feminine and masculine. And Christ represents the word of the Father, right? The Father in the flesh, so to speak. He's not the literal Father. I want to make sure we understand that. But they're saying that Christ is bisexual, basically. Because Christ said, me and the Father are one. Nevertheless, the Talmud in their Midrash promotes bisexuality. All right. We dealt with hermaphrodites, but let me break it down again. For you to understand what a hermaphrodite is, you have to understand who Hermes is. Right? Let's go to Hermes. Hermes, Greek god of magic, letter, medicine, and occult wisdom, identified with thought in Greek, Mercury in Rome. He was really older than Greece and one of the Aegean's great mother's primal serpent consorts, partaking of her wisdom because he was once a part of her. Like India's, I'm not going to butcher this name here, all right, but Kali and Shiva united in one body with Aphrodite. Priest, now peep this now. Now this is dealing with Hermes. Look at this. Priests of Hermes, this is men. Priests of Hermes wore artificial breasts and female garments. So this is telling you that the priests of Hermes, these men were cross-dressers. Is there a coincidence we see that inside the church, being that they're celebrating Valentine's Day? This is all part of Valentine's Day. Remember, we dealt with Eros. Eros was what? Bisexual. Cupid, bisexual. Pan dealt with animals. So look at this here. The priests of Hermes wore artificial breasts and female garments to preside over Aphrodite's Cyprian temple in the guise of the god Hermaphroditus. So the priests were cross-dressers in Aphrodite's temple, the men. So the Midrash and Talmud teach Adam was a cross-dresser. Hermes, right? Because we saw hermaphrodite, right? Right? The Talmud and their Midrash promotes the worship of Hermes. So who is Aphrodite? Let's deal with Aphrodite. And how influential is this Roman goddess? All right. Often dismissed as a Greek goddess of love, Aphrodite was really much more than like Kali, she was a virgin mother crone. In other words, that's the triple goddess, the triple witches. She was once indistinguishable from the Fate. Her old name was Moira, excuse me if I butchered the name, and she was said to be older than time. She governed the world by Eus natural, the natural law of the maternal clan. She was not only Greek, she was the dead Syria, also known as Asherah or Astarte, right? Remember Israel, right? When they dealing with the Babylonian culture, Israel kept getting caught up with the worship of Asherah. Astarte, these all is synonymous. Aphrodite is synonymous to those deities, right? She was the ancestral mother of the Romans, for she gave birth to their founding father, Aeneas. Under the name Venus, she was the mother of Veneti, whose capital city became Venice, called Queen of the Sea, after the goddess herself. One of Aphrodite's major centers of worship was the city of Paphos, or on Cyprus. the island name for its copper mines. Thus, she was called the Cyprian or Paphian, the Paphian, and her sacred metal was copper. She was also called Mari, in other words, the sea. Egyptians referred to her island as I Mari. During the Christian era, Aphrodite's temple on Cyprus was converted into a sanctuary of the Virgin Mary. You see what happened here? So the church, right? You know, when they conquered and took over these Roman, these Greek temples, right? Instead of destroying it, they took, for example, Mary, they took Aphrodite and made her into Mary. Right? That's what this is saying. Right? Converted into a sanctuary of the Virgin Mary, another name of the same goddess, but in the sanctuary, the Virgin Mary is hailed to this day as Panagia or Panagia Aphroditus. Excuse me if I butcher these words here. All holy Aphrodite. One of Aphrodite's greatest shrines in Asia Minor was the city of Aphrodisia, once dedicated to Ishtar up to the 10th century AD when the city was taken by Seljuk Turks. The goddess was worshipped there as the patron of arts and letters, crafts, and culture. Recent excavations have uncovered exquisite artifacts in sanctuaries bespeaking a cultivated and sophisticated lifestyle under the goddess's rule. The calendar still keeps the name Aphrodite on the month dedicated to her, April. So that month, April, that name April is actually a name that's dedicated to Aphrodite, right? April, Aprillis, right? So April is dedicated to Aphrodite, right? And remember, February, fever or febrous, right? The ancient calendar, all right, but nevertheless, so the calendar still keeps the name Aphrodite on the month dedicated to her, which is April, okay? The ancient calendar of Romulus said that this was the month of Venus, okay? Now, this is the, when you look at these images here, right? The original image of Aphrodite, this is a forgery here. This is the original image of Aphrodite. And what many of you guys may not know, the original image of Aphrodite that they worship was a black woman. Let me show you here. Let me see if I can zoom this in. Looking at the time here. All right. I'm trying to see if I can switch this over, but all right. Let me zoom this in. All right. I'm not sure if you can see the features here. But yeah, you know, and they changed it to, right? You can look at the nose, the lips, and look at what they changed it to over here. This is the original, and this is the forgery. You can even see the designs here. And I'm not saying this to promote this image here, but I'm just letting you know, the original image of Aphrodite was a black woman per se. So the Talmud and their Midrash promotes the worship of Aphrodite. Again, the Talmud teaches that Adam was a Hermes and Aphrodite. In other words, a hermaphrodite. So the Talmud teach that Adam was bisexual, right? Lastly, I want to cover is the ritual worship of the dancing heart. You know, y'all see this image in the background, right? Do you guys recognize this image in the background? Right? Do you guys recognize that image in the background? That's that sacred heart. That's that sacred heart. Before we continue, I want to give a quick shout out to Meeting Place. Thank you for the love and support. Thank you for all you do on behalf of the diaspora. Really appreciate you. Thank you for the love and support, and family. Let's show some love for Meeting Place. Really appreciate it. All right. Thank you for the love and support. So let's break down this sacred heart here. Let's break down this sacred heart. Let's see the comments here. All right. But you guys recognize this symbol here. That is actually called the dancing heart, the ritual worship of the dancing heart. Where did that come from? Where did that come from? Y'all see that dancing heart right there? Where did that come from? Where did that come from? What's the origins of the Sacred Heart? Ab was the Egyptian word for heart, soul, most important of the 7 souls bestowed by the 7 birth goddesses, in other words, Hathors. So that bouncing heart, that bouncing sacred heart, that comes from Egypt or Kemet, because they didn't call themselves Egyptians, right? That's a modern word. Kemet, right? It says here was the Egyptian word for the heart, soul, most important, the 7 souls bestowed by the 7 birth goddesses, in other words, Hathors. The Ab was the soul that would be weighed in the balances of Ma'at after death in her underground hall of judgment to see if it was too heavy with sins to balance her feather of truth. The Ab was most important because it was the central blood soul emanating from the essence of the mother. The maxim, that a pregnant woman carries her child under her heart began with the Egyptians, who believed menstrual blood that made the child's life descended from the mother's heart to her womb. And so the maternal heart then was the source of the child's life, which was why a mother called her child heart's blood. The Book of the Dead addresses prayers to my heart of my mother, my heart of transformations, meaning the source of rebirths. The Egyptian hieroglyphic sign for Ab was a dancing figure, and a verb it meant to dance. This referred to the mystic dance of life going on inside the body of the heartbeat. The same mystic symbol of India was the dance of Shiva, who was supposed to dwell at the beating heart of the cosmos within the world body of Kali. All right. And we're just going to stop right there, family. We stop right there. So you see all the imageries that we shared about Valentine's Day promotes homosexuality. It promotes bestiality, as we proved. It just promotes all these different perversions. Even that dancing heart that we see that the Catholic Church used, that comes from another culture. That culture is what? The ancient Egyptians, or Kemet. So everything you see about Valentine's Day is a complete lie. It is a farce, and not one of us should be celebrating this. And as I share with you guys, especially when it comes to us Negroes, we should not even be thinking about celebrating this wicked day, right? This is not our culture. We should not be celebrating this wicked day at all. And just to reiterate this, let me just show you these images again for those that didn't catch it. These are some of the gift cards that were sold, right? And the major company that's behind, I can't think of the name stealer's name off the top of my head, who was behind this, who started the card business and promoted a lot of these. But anyway, family, just want to share with you tonight. Like I said, I know this was an unscheduled live. Really appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. And family, I'm going to go through my email. I'm behind on my email. So if you guys want to be part of Bible study, just shoot me an email. But I'm going to go through the emails over the next couple of days to get caught up. So if I haven't gotten back to you yet, charges to my head, not to my heart. Been very busy. All right. But with that being said, really appreciate you guys. We're going to close out here with the encouraging words of the Most High that He gave to Moses. in Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 and 14. He said, fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today, they will not have power over you again. The Most High will fight for you. But here's the kicker, family. We have to hold our peace. Can't go back, can't stay here. Keep moving forward. Let me say that one more time. Can't go back, can't stay here. Keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. Of course.
Somebody better